Hi everyone, this is Catherine Isabel Jennings for Your Life Matters and for GrandparentsArise.com, and I'm going to be telling you part of my story, my soul story, because I think it's very important that we come to grips with the reality that we have a soul. And the videos that I'm going to be showing you is how your soul is being stripped from you slowly. I only have 3, but I'll bring into other pieces of information as well. But I wanted to share my story too about my soul. And before I start that, I'm going to have you listen to Rami Adley, and it's The Sound of Silence, but it's through the Egyptian Oud. And Rami, I give you a lot of respect for what you do. I love you very much, little brother. And just let's be at peace and think about what I'm saying here, and think about the excellence that you're hearing. I was thinking about the music here. You can't be silent, huh? The sound of silence. There's toxic silence, and then there's healthy silence. Very strong. You know the neon god they made? Wow. Think about what I'm about to tell you. Neon gods, nanoparticles. Good Lord. Thank you, Rami Adley. You can see that or listen to that on YouTube. The Sound of Silence by Rami Adley, Egyptian virtuoso oud player, and dear little brother of mine. I love you, Adley, Rami. So I have 3 small videos to introduce to you today. But my topic is it's interesting because I couldn't nail down a title for this because I'm bringing in the concept of the television or media, but I'm also bringing in the vision of your soul into this and the importance of your soul. And it's hard because I'm trying to bring in the data portion of it and the personal portion of it, and I hope they connect wisely, because that's the goal that I have for you, is to make a connection to where you start thinking about your soul before you lose it. And I never thought in my wildest life that I would say something of that magnitude, but it's here. And you do have a soul, and you do have a spirit, and you are in a body. And whether you want to believe that as an absolute truth, it still is an absolute truth, whether you want to believe it or not. And there are people out there very forcibly putting out there that you aren't important, that part of you isn't important, that the collective whole is the most important thing for their personal gain. And this is wrong. And if people like me who operate out of the spirit, soul, and body portion through our faith in Jesus Christ, if we don't stand up and address it to you and tell you how it's so important, we're doing a grave disservice to you. We are not honoring your God-created life that God gave you, and we're just brushing you off, and we're no different than the elitists that want you destroyed, and for their personal gain, and for their personal utopian societies, whatever the heck that looks like to them. And that's why the only thing that you can take into eternity, and they don't want you to know this, is your soul and your spirit. And that's really, really important for you to know. That's why, for me, I feel an urgency, a compelling thrust in my total being to tell you how important your soul is if I have to put my life on the line for it, because I can't drag you into eternity and through love. I can't do anything, but I can through the relationship that I have with Creator God through Jesus Christ, can tell you before it's too late for you to make a decision. And it's here. It's so here that your quote soul is going to be ripped from you. And I mean, it's crazy that I'm saying this. I mean, I'm saying this with a sound mind, maybe a little bit of caffeine, but I'm saying this with a sound mind. And I have the data and the videos, and I want you to listen to these, because I can tell you anything, but if I don't back up with what I have with sound data, why the heck would you listen to me? And that's another place where I'm going to lead us. How did we get to the place where we're just letting someone else think for us, or letting the data that's thrown in front of us be the correct data, without using critical thinking? And I will go there right after I show you these these videos, because I think that's the next sequence. All right, so in my first video, let's say goodbye to Rami here. Very nice, very, very nice. Gosh, this always does this to me. Okay, get out of here, get out of here. Isn't that funny? All right, in this first video, I would like for you to hear, let me think, how do I want to put this? This is from Davos, and this is a All right, I'm just going to say the man's name. His first name is Yuri. I'm not going to say his last name because you'll hear it for yourself. He is the right-hand man of Klaus Schwab under Davos, and he is a total atheistic person, and he is telling you what technology has, how far it has gone to where... Just listen to what he has to say. I think it's very important, and it's called, this video is called, They Want to Hack Humans. Okay, and I just sent this to 2 people last night because I wanted it to go on this video, but it's out there, and I will post this particular video on my grandparentsarise.com under the medical. A lot of times I probably should put it in different places, but it seems like the medical category on that website is getting a lot of hits. So I want to make sure that you guys have a place for that and listen to what is being said. And if I can show you the person talking, I will. It might get fuzzy, okay?
Might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it.
So,
now, in the past,
listen to this.
Many tyrants and governments wanted to do it, but nobody understood biology well enough, and nobody had enough computing power and data to hack millions of people. Neither the Gestapo nor the KGB could do it. But soon, at least some corporations and governments will be able to systematically hack all the people. And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds. Evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Free will, that's over.
Okay, folks, that is very powerful. That is the same, that person is a direct sidekick for Klaus Schwab, who is the head of Davos, or the World Economic Forum. If you saw that particular crowd of people that was Davos most recently, and he is presenting that to you as a reality and as a tangible reality. And the next video I would like for you to hear is, and that's kind of tandeming this, I want you to hear this.
They just developed the first DNA hard drive Microsoft has. 1 gram of DNA can store 433 petabytes of data. So they've created a digital DNA hard drive. So now we have the capability of transferring consciousness into a storage capacity. We can literally take a skin cell from your body, create a clone of you up to whatever age specified, and then transfer your consciousness from your body, your mind, into that new avatar.
Wow. Okay, it's here. It's tangibly here. Okay, and the final one, this one goes back to 1943, and I want you to this is kind of like, it's not a tandem, but it's part of the equation that I'm going to be speaking about, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I'm going into critical thinking now. So basically this particular one, where are you, Tammy? Girlfriend. This one was interesting because, there you go. Okay, just bear with me. I think I got it over somewhere else. I flip between. Bear with me. So basically, this particular one came out of the 1940s, and it actually shows how we as people can be manipulated. I hope I can find that, please. Find is happening. Here it is. Okay, sorry about that.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
Okay, so that's where the television comes into play, and you not being able to tell your vision. Okay, so critical thinking. I want to address this before I start telling you about my soul story. Okay, so I've heard lots of great videos on where the word conspiracy came from, and the definition of it, and the fake news campaign. It's huge, multi-million-dollar campaign that tells you not to go there. It kind of ingrains in your head not to go into a direction, and you are being guided because of the campaign not to go there. That's what conspiracy theorists are saying. There are some funky stuff out there. I've touched base with that, but the initial thrust of that whole conspiracy initiative is a multi-million-dollar campaign to keep you from thinking critically, and that is what has been stripped from you using major media, Hollywood, the government educational system, because they're formatting that, and so over time, including myself, I'm no different. I'm still struggling with this. The questions, the fundamental gut questions that you want to ask, or you think you're supposed to, they're suppressed. And because of the training of the television, of the media, of the newspapers, and people who have a big, huge Boku agenda way above your existence, have been thrusting at you, and they've been dumping piles of bucks into steering you to not think for yourself. Well, guess what? You have become complacent. I have become complacent. We have not stepped up and stepped out. And a lot of times people will rip the church about it, will rip the men, the gender, oh, they're just dumb. But it's all been ingrained in us. And we don't think for ourselves. We don't ask fundamental questions because, guess what? It takes an effort, and we were taught. I'm sorry, but Western cultures, especially, I have often seen. I'm part of the Western culture. I've often seen that. Oh, let's just receive, and not step up and question and step out and do. we don't want to do that unless it fits our personal motivations. Okay, and the thing of it is we've had our motivation stripped from us too. So I think that that's a really important thing for you to start questioning, and take the time to question, because based on what those 3 videos, they're saying that they can take a little bit of your DNA and pop your identity into some kind of avatar somewhere somewhere, and you don't have to exist anymore. Well, if they can do that, what makes you think that they can't shut down your soul? What makes you think that they can't just start to manipulate your soul? And they are already doing that by changing and formatting your thought processes into their narrative. And if you don't think so, how come they keep bashing the same people? They don't have to. People are out of the picture, the limelight, but these same people are bashing and bringing people that aren't in the limelight anymore back into the limelight because they want to totally destroy them. Well, you know what? It's happened to me too. It's happened to me. And it's hard because when you're ostracized for thinking for yourself and trying to get the word out to help people think for themselves, plus get healing, it's a nasty place to be. But I'm not going to stop it. And it's wrong if we don't. We are human beings. We have to think for ourselves. I can go a whole nother direction about the whole concept of identity through gender and what the real fundamental basis is on that. It is not about your chromosomes not matching up. It's about their narrative shifting so you question your personal identity. I don't care if it's the gay rights agendas, the transgender agenda, all of that. I don't care, because I'm not judging the person. I'm looking at the freaking agenda that's out there, and the whole thing is to disassociate your personal identity. That's what it is, and you're going to spin off in a direction because you have that human need. And this is where I get into when we're talking about identity, and when we were talking about asking questions that have been stripped from us, okay? I mean, asking critical questions, or just critical thought processes, that is being stripped from us left and right. And why do I say that? Because I see it, and it's happened to me, and I'm challenging it. Every day I'm challenging it. And I really believe that as it's being stripped from you, you don't even know it, and you're yielding and succumbing to a pushed narrative. Whatever it is, political, gender issues, financial issues. You're buying this fact that you can do banking. There's a bigger agenda out there, people. There's a bigger worldview that they want to strip from you, this whole concept of who you are, to line their pockets and to take your freedoms and your identity away. And all comes down to the soul. It is evil. It all comes down to that. They have this self-righteous, their way is the best way thing. Who determined that? Because they had a lot of bucks. For many generations, we're yielding to the dollar format because they know what's best for us. That's a bunch of bull. The whole concept of your body, your choice. Okay, guess where that came out of? That came out of a huge depopulation agenda. All right, and they use that to catapult and make women's choices such a movement. The whole time they're stealing life from your womb, and they're saying that it's your choice, but they're stealing and they're ripping the snot out of the woman's womb, and they're damaging her, and they're making her rage-based. Okay, all to numb her from that separation, okay? Numb her, and when someone's numb and traumatized, eventually rage comes forth, okay? This is a whole nother issue. It's a huge issue, but it's part of this whole picture. It is an elitist agenda to take your identity from you, to rip the snot out of your soul and take it away from you and put you in some kind of cosmos somewhere where you have no value as a human being. Now, that's such disunity and deceitfulness for profit, okay? If that is such a bad thing, and it is, and they're calling, what did he say? A fascist, people who are trying to produce the truth of what they're doing. They're trying to shut us up. I know, I'm getting it left and right. But what is this? Why aren't you buying the spirit soul body connection? Why aren't you buying that love thing? Why is that infiltration so intense to you that you are so numb deep inside your person that you don't know that you can reach out even at the worst case scenario? Heck, I even prayed for that guy that said, the no soul thing. I have even prayed blessings over that guy. Why? Because he has no clue the magnitude of the spirit, soul, and body connection. He has no concept. Zero concept. When you're operating out of your spirit, soul to body, guess what? You're the fullness of the created value and identity. You are. And those people, I don't care how much of this they could have trillions of dollars. If they're not operating out of what I just told you, spirit, soul to body, I don't care what invention they come up with. They're not operating on the fullness of who they are. And they can say that until the cows come home. They still aren't. They could be the most brilliant of minds. But if you're not operating out of that fullness, that's nothing. That's nothing. And that if it isn't out of the spirit, soul to body response and operation, it's disunifying. It's separating. And there's no love there. I don't see love there. I see control and money. That's all I see. And in commerce, that our cells are commerce to these people. They have no right to do that to us. All right, so now I'm going to tell you about my soul and why I know that I have one, okay? And why I know I have a spirit. And you don't think I didn't test what I'm about to tell you? I test the living crap out of it, okay? So here's the deal. I don't know what it took. It was something else, man, because I remember not caring. I grew up this cute little Catholic girl, and I'm telling you, there was a lot of abuse there, but she still got cute, and she wound up being hurt by men and by family members and all that kind of stuff. And I don't have to go into a pity pot over there because I'm a new creation. I'm awesome. But what happened was there came a point in my life where I asked a fundamental question, and I'm not sure if you ever thought this way. And maybe CRT and the television has been so ingrained in you that you don't know to ask yourself, why was I created and what is my purpose here on earth? Two fundamental questions. I didn't even care. I was at the point when I asked those questions, and I don't know where you are, but when I finally asked those questions, I didn't give a crap. Because I lost a sister to suicide, and I wasn't appreciated where I was, and I had family that didn't understand me, and they judged me based on other behaviors that I had when I was younger. I just didn't care. I didn't care if I lived. I didn't care if I died. It didn't matter to me. It didn't matter. But I remember asking, not even really wanting to care when I asked the question. But I said, okay, if people say that there's a creator God out there, I don't really care if he is, because I haven't seen him in my life, and I've been a good, quote, person, whatever. And there came a point in my life where I said, am I created? Do I have a purpose? Am I valuable? Okay, if there's a creator God, he's going to have to show me all these answers. And I asked this creator God if he was even real. Now, my intellectual person, the people like these people, were going to say, oh, it's relative. It's relative to the person. I said, well, guess what? I can relate to that thought process because I come from very smart people. Very smart. But I asked the question, went further than that. It went further than my own intellect, because I didn't give a crap intellectually. I didn't go out to examine God. I just wanted to know if he was alive. And I actually asked him if he was alive to show up. But it was a baby. It was a baby like, yeah, I don't really care. And finally, when I finally let down my guard and I said, if you're real, show up. I know that he proved himself real to me very strongly because of how I think. And he showed up in a way that told me he was real, because I know I was only asking him if he was real. If Creator God, through his Son, Jesus Christ, was real, he had to show me. And the only way he could do that is to show me that my sister was okay, the one who committed suicide, and she was smiling and she was at peace. And I know damn well that I wasn't even thinking about her when I asked that question. It wasn't even in my subconscious or whatever they want to label scientifically, blah blah. I know. She was like the last thing on my mind. And I knew, okay, there's something real here. I have no clue what it was. And as a result of that, I went on another baby step. I started listening with spiritual ears, not intellectual ones. And I said, I have no clue what that means. But I started saying, okay, and I opened up my soul a little bit, my mind and my emotions and my free will, mostly my free will, to say, okay, my free will says, let's check out this God, Creator God thing. And as I did that, it was like the spiritual nature of me and the spiritual nature of Creator God started melding and kind of growing together, to where I came to a point, and it was only a few weeks later, I said, okay, if you're really real, I'll give you a chance, and I will ask you to come and stay into my heart, and have a relationship in my heart. I didn't know what that meant. I had no clue. And you can sit me with the best scientists, whatever. All I know is the pure me, the me that was inquisitive, and the hurting me, and the creative me, whatever I was created to be, asked that question. And I said, okay, come Jesus, come live into my heart because of what you've done. Now, it's funny because I'm going to sidetrack, because it's very important to sidetrack here at this point. When you realize that you have a spiritual being that you've never ever touched, okay, you've been operating out of the soul to the body, okay, it's time to bridge this. There's no other way to bridge it. You can try transcendental meditation, you can try Eastern philosophies, you can try organized religious groups, churches, whatever, but the spirit to spirit manifestation or connection can only be through a personal relationship with Creator God. And you can't have that if you don't even know what your spirit is, and you can't possibly know what the spiritual nature of God is if you don't seek him. And many people will use the term religion to get them to a plane, an intellectual plane of knowing, and that is not spiritual. And I like this, I forgot what the guy's name was. Matt Chandler. He said there's these non-religious and people in our country, people who, here we go. I got it. I heard him today say that it's a terminology. Let me get my glasses on here. It's a terminology, and I just kind of threw it down when I was writing. Oh yeah, that's a good question to ask you guys. Yeah. Where did you go? Where'd you go, buddy? Matt Chandler. Okay. Well, he basically said the religious nuns, N-O-N-E-S, all right? He said that there are statistically the people who've had some kind of formalized religious upbringing that have stepped away from it. And there's a huge percentage of them. And actually, there's a lot of people who don't even want to pray. And they don't want to pray, to a creator God at this point. Where did we get so far? Where did we get? I'm sorry, just scooting through all this. Where did we get so? Why did we get so far? How did we get so far away? Well, I believe part of it is that whole training of us into going into their direction. I really believe that, because when we haven't had a fair shake to really examine and explore the existence of our spiritual man and growing our spirit to our soul and body, because of this. It has been a fundamental evil throughout history. And I believe that we have to understand that people of church, people who've left the church, have left mostly because they get the bells and whistles sometimes, but they don't get a good sense of development in their spiritual man and through a relationship. And the church has failed at that. And really, as a believer, as a Christian believing person who has a relationship with Creator God, it's funny because when he was saying, what do Christians believe? Part of me didn't want to use the word Christian. Part of me was just like, I love Jesus and his word and his spiritual, his spirit, the Holy Spirit, and Papa God and the Word of God. I love that. The word Christian has pissed people off so much that they don't even pray to a God anymore. I mean, like any God. And so for me, I understand why many people have left the church, because they haven't been trained properly. They've gotten the let's feel good about the church through worship. I mean, they've grown into that. And that has been, unfortunately, I know I have a couple of really, really good friends that only go to church for the worship. It's really sad. Because, yes, there's great tunes, but, I mean, they're not growing in their relationship with their Creator God through his word, and the word became flesh relationship with Jesus. They're not growing there. They just like that, hey, I get so high on Jesus and I love him so much. Well, but then there's an application to what you know of that relationship and how you're moved through it in your identity. And those are people's identities. They're innate created value identities are not growing in the church, and it's hurting them. So many of people are leaving, and they're not even trusting God anymore. And so it's funny because I do attend churches. I do, and I keep asking God, do you want me to be in a body of believers to teach what I know? And I go for a season, and I'm being transparent here. It's disheartening sometimes, but I need to make more commitments, more solid commitments in what I do in the church system. As a minister, as a missionary for women and healing of people's soul to their body and bringing their spirit to their soul, I need to do more of that in the church setting. It's hard because we've been hurt. A lot of people have been hurt like me, and you're like, you want to trust that they're going to have an open mind. But I've been into different cultures that just don't receive this gift. So that's why I'm online, and that's why I'm sharing what I share. It doesn't mean that I don't honor bylaws or the gospel, because we can only know who Creator God is by the Word becoming flesh. Now, that being said, let's go to where Jesus is. All right, so as we were created, we came from an omnipresent Alpha and Omega created. He wasn't created. God, who's always been. Now, you could have someone over here under Klaus Schwab tell you one thing, but the sad part about him is he's not operating out of his spirit, soul to body personhood. He's operating up of here, okay? And he will never get it. That's why I prayed for them, because he'll never get it, because it's so compact here, and it's brilliant intellectually, but the spiritual man is, and now because he doesn't want any connection there, he's got an allegiance to the absence of Creator God, which to me I will call Satan, okay? And so that's been like that throughout all of history. When there is not an allegiance, a loving relationship, spirit to spirit, your spirit to Creator God's spirit, absence of love is me, myself, and I, and self, and separation, and disunity, and everything, and it perpetuates itself eventually through evil. So it's pretty sad, but let's go to where Jesus was. Creator God was always. His begotten Son was always. It's an always essence. To examine the always, you can't. It's like examining eternity. You can't do that. You can't understand the fullness of a black hole. You can't understand the fullness of Creator God. We can't conceptually, because we are limited in our capacity to understand. We are so limited as human beings. I don't care if you have an IQ of 600, okay? Which is, we can't. So why go there? I mean, why put yourself in a place where you know more? You don't. And so for me, at my age, to tell you that there's a Creator God and a begotten Son, and the power of all of that is the spiritual essence of that Creator God working with and in you to perpetuate you into your personal identity and your full purpose. If you don't understand that, that's why I'm here. Because you were created out of that kind of existence. You were created with a spiritual man first, then out of the physical, your body was created, and what the breath of life that was breathed in you is your soul man, which consists of your intellect, your emotional capacities, and your free will. And those together operate to the body. The problem that we had was free will early on in the existence of man was taken and used inappropriately because it was influenced by an outside source. I will call that Satan, an outside source, which to me means that it was inside at some point All right, so it was familiar, totally familiar, and it was influenced to sway that direction. And when that happened through Adam and Eve, when that happened, that triune you was separated. The spiritual man was separated from the soul body experience, and that's when rationalization, intellectualism, self-preservation, all of those things came in. Me, myself, and I all came in at that point. So when I listen to this guy say you elitists can, manipulate human blah blah blah, all I'm seeing is this soul coming in and rationalizing and intellectualizing and utilizing its intellectual capacity to create on a level that only sustains his soul, his mind, his soul to the body needs, whatever that is. It's very self-based. Okay? But God said, I have come to bring you life. Jesus said this, I have come to bring you life and bring it more abundantly. Well, how would he know, these elitists possibly know what any of that is if they haven't made a good call of inquiry? How would they know? They wouldn't know. And why would it take someone like Jesus to come here and rectify this? It's because we are operating soul to body. We don't have the capacity of operating our spiritual man, soul, and body because it was separated. And the only way to do that is to Creator God, in his beautiful love gift, absolute truth, unifying relationship essence, grieved that loss of spirit to spirit, and he had to, out of love, send his son to operate out of the fullness of who he was in a human capacity, so that you can see how you were supposed to be living in the fullness of your identity, spirit, soul to body. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father. No man bridges his spirit back to the Father but through me. He isn't saying that as a religion. He is saying that as a choice, active, he chose to do this so that he could bridge you back to the Father. You could not do it by yourself. And if you think for 1 micron of a second that you can, you are operating out of your soul to your body and not your spirit. And when I made the choice, I didn't even know if I was using all of me. I didn't even know it. But I understood enough to say, okay, well, I'll question and we'll see if I have a spiritual man. Guess what? It's true. That was back in 1985, 86. And you know what? I have been walking and abiding. Abiding means girding, being girded with my Creator God since then. And here's the interesting thing, that the Klaus Schwabs and the Uris and those guys won't tell you that when you operate out of, and you choose to operate out of the spiritual man through Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit working in and through you, you're the full you. You may have some shortcomings. I have a lot of them, especially when I'm tired. But I am open to being more like Creator God than myself. And you're bigger than the self. People, if this is what you want, you have to make a choice soon, because the videos you saw before, and I know the shots are altering DNA. The shots are, it may not be tomorrow, but so far there's, like, as of last month, Dr. Sherry Timpanese, she has this little thing that goes by her website, adverse reactions. Well, there's 1.4 million adverse effects from the shots. And what's her name? Carrie Madej. She's a nanoparticle. She's dissected what's in these shots, and they are not good for you. And Dr. Brian Ardis has really, Dr. Zizlenko, who passed away, these doctors know what is going on in your body right now. And you know how I pray for you? I pray on a nanoparticle level now. I pray that the DNA that you have changing inside of you from these shots are covered in the blood of Jesus, because one speck, what's the smallest thing? I don't know, I'm not the scientist, covers and heals all cells in your body. All cells. And your brain barrier, anything that could go through your brain barrier. His blood covers and heals. And that's what I pray for you. So my question to you is, as you listen to this video, as you listen to me, what choice are you going to make? Are you going to let the medias, whatever they are, what are they? The television medias steer you? Are you and make you more rageful and give you a side? Put it out there, people. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to question, are they saying what is true? Because wouldn't it be unifying in some capacity? And I don't care about whose agenda to make money. I'm asking you to question everything, especially what you've allowed in your children's bodies, and especially what you've allowed the big pro-choice womb ripping campaign to do to your womb. I'm tangible on this. I telling you that your spiritual man needs to come alive, to think differently, to think fullness of who you are. And you don't have a choice but to do it right away. You don't. I questioned myself. I had this much baby faith, and as a result, look at me. I am peaceful. I grieve what's going on, but I'm walking in peace. And I have a tenacity that I never thought I ever would have. And you can have that too. And guess what? The only thing that you can choose to work on bringing into an eternity of love, unconditional love through Creator God, is your family and your friends. And your story can be that way to bridge them to that wonderful connection of their spirit waking up and growing with the Spirit of Creator God. Don't you want that? Don't you want that? Okay, well, if you do, I'm going to pray with you, and I'm going to just close your eyes and say, you know what? Jesus, I know why you came here. You came that I would have life and more abundantly. And I choose to, I don't understand everything Catherine's saying, but I choose to check into my spiritual man. I would like to see how much more of a person I will become as I awaken that spiritual man and join it to my soul and my body through Jesus Christ and that relationship and what Jesus did for me on the cross. And as a result, I know I will have eternal life through love. No matter what happens in my DNA, it doesn't matter. I will be joined with you forever. Father, I just, anyone who's said that, Lord God, I plead your blood over every molecule of their being, of their created being that you gave them. I call in the angels to protect every piece of DNA on that precious created one. You created them in your image. You don't make junk. Absence of the spiritual man, an absence of you, Papa God, is someone operating out of their soul, their intellect, and their free will to their body. And right now, this person is choosing to join them all. And I know that there's only going to be good things. And you'll give them the peace that surpasses all understanding. As they walk forward, knowing that there's changes going on, but knowing that you are the God that heals. You're the God that steals. You're the God that will steal evil and crush evil and put it underneath your foot. You are that God. You're a unifying God. You will unify all that person is. And Lord, most importantly, you will give this one who's watching, their full created value, their full personal identity that they were looking for over there in different gender issues and choice issues and things like that. You will give them their full identity, which is so much more than what they could ever dream of, because it's through love, unity, and created value. Lord, I thank you for their lives, and I bless them in your precious, precious Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Now, if you need some support, if you need some healing, if you're concerned about jabs and whatever, feel free to get back with me through Rumble. It's Catherine47, Kathryn47. Go through grandparentsarise.com and check the medical things, because I'm going to put some of these videos up there. Check that out. Please, if you need prayer for stuff, it says if two or more gathered in his name, Jesus Christ, why would he say this if it wasn't true? As touching anything, it will be done. You are valuable. Your life matters. Everything matters. When you are walking and talking in your full created value, you will see what matters. It's so important that you grow your spirit, soul, and body, and I can help you do that. So please stay with me. I'm going to give you my email address. Cathryn, Kathryn, Jennings, Jennings, 47 @gmail. Send me something. Send me something and I will be happy to connect with you. My Facebook, Cathryn Isabel Jennings, is always being locked down, but if you want, check the messenger side, because I can actually still feed my messengers, but I'm trying to post all this medical data and it gets hard because they're always shutting me down. Same with YouTube. I don't really go to YouTube that much anymore, but my videos are all on Rumble, and I'm going to try to transfer those videos somehow to my grandparentsarise.com. I'm not sure how they do that. I don't think they can do it through Rumble yet, so say a prayer for me, because I'd like them up there. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and you are so special, and I'm so glad that you came to visit, and your life is so valuable. You are valuable. God bless.